I want you to imagine something. You can hear everything. Every footstep. Every whisper. Every word being spoken over your body. But no one knows you're listening. No one knows you're there. Now imagine. The voice you hear belongs to someone who is supposed to love you. And the words they say are not "please wake up." Are not "I've been so scared." Are not "I missed you." The words they say are, "One more signature, and it's all ours. My name is Lily Carter. I'm 31 years old." And I heard those words while lying completely still. In a hospital bed. 3 weeks after a truck destroyed my car at an intersection. I didn't move. I didn't open my eyes. Because something in me understood. Before my conscious mind had even fully woken up. That the most dangerous moment of my life was not the accident. It was right now. To understand what they were trying to take, you need to understand who built it. My mother's name was Margaret Carter. She died when I was 14. Ovarian cancer. 8 months from diagnosis to the end. I used to think about those 8 months and feel only the grief of them. It took me years to understand what she was actually doing during that time. She was not just dying. She was building a wall around me. Brick by brick. Document by document. Legal protection by legal protection. She was a real estate developer, not famous, not large-scale, but precise in a way that went beyond business. She understood that the world does not protect people by accident. Protection is something you construct. So she constructed mine. 3 commercial properties. Company shares. A trust fund locked until I turned 25. An investment account managed for a decade by a woman named Grace who greeted me on my 25th birthday like she had been waiting her whole career for this meeting. And a letter. Sealed. In my mother's handwriting. Delivered on my 25th birthday. It said, "I made these protections not because I don't trust you. I made them because I do. And I needed to make sure the systems around you honor that trust. Even when the people around you don't." I read those words at my kitchen table. Coffee going cold. Sunlight coming through the window. I thought, my mother worried too much. I thought, I am surrounded by people who love me. I was 25 years old and I was wrong about almost everything. My father remarried 4 years after my mother died. Her name was Diana. And I want to be honest with you about something. Because I think it matters. Diana was not a monster when I first met her. She was warm. She was attentive. She remembered things, small things, that made you feel seen. She asked about my studies. She asked about my future. She expressed curiosity about my mother's real estate work with what seemed like genuine admiration. I liked her. I am not ashamed of that. I liked her because she was designed to be liked. And I was a teenager who had lost her mother. And some part of me that I have never fully forgiven myself for. Wanted someone to fill that space. But there were questions. 3 times in my final year of high school. Diana asked about the trust my mother had left. The structure. The timeline. The management arrangements. I answered generally. I thought it was just conversation. My godmother Ruth, my mother's closest friend, a retired estate attorney, met Diana at my graduation dinner. She called me the next morning. Her voice was calm. Deliberate. The voice of a woman choosing every war. "Be careful of her questions, Lily." I said, "She seems genuinely interested." Ruth said, "She is genuinely interested." That is exactly what I am telling you to be careful of. I didn't listen. I was 18. I thought Ruth was seeing shadows. I spent the next 13 years understanding. Ruth had been looking directly at the light. The trust activated when I turned 25 that March. And something shifted in Diana almost immediately. The warmth didn't disappear, but underneath it, something tightened. The questions became specific. Transactional. Urgent in a way they had never been before. Which properties? Which board positions? Whether I had considered updating the management structure now that I was in control. I told my father. He looked at me with the patient expression of a man who had already decided what he believed. She just cares about your success, Lily. She's proud of you. I looked at my father's face. And I noticed, for the first time, that he wasn't defending Diana. He was redirecting me. Those are different things. I didn't push. I should have pushed. That was March. The accident was September. A Thursday evening. A secondary highway with the kind of late afternoon light that flattens distance and makes junctions look further away than they are. I had right of way. The truck did not stop. I don't remember the impact. I remember the light, golden, almost beautiful. And then I remember nothing at all. For 3 weeks, I was gone. But my brain was still there. Still listening. Still recording everything. Here's what the doctors told me afterward. That awareness returns gradually, not all at once. That in the days before I woke up, my brain had been showing signs of activity. Reassembling itself. Quietly. Behind closed eyes. And here is what no one in that room considered. That while they spoke freely over my body, I was collecting every word. Diana came 11 times. My father came 7. Ruth, my godmother, the one person who might have protected me, came 3 times. She was asked to leave twice. Think about that. The woman who loved me most in that building was removed. Twice. An attorney named Blake visited once. With Diana. 40 minutes. While my father was absent. I heard the words authorization and transfer of management authority and timeline for finalization. On a different day, a different man spoke to my father. Lower voice. More careful. I heard power of attorney. I heard medical proxy. And then, and this is the part one returned to most. I heard my father's voice say. How much longer do we need to wait? Not, is she improving? Not, what do the doctors think? How much longer do we need to wait? The voice of a man watching a clock. The voice of a man with a plan. I lay in that bed and I let that sentence settle into me like cold water. My father was not confused. My father was not being manipulated. My father had made a choice. And I was the thing his choice was being made around. On Thursday morning, 3 weeks after the accident. Sound came first. Then light through my eyelids. Then the weight of my own body, heavy with disuse, and the steady ache in my head that told me it had been aching for a very long time. I knew where I was before I opened my eyes. I lay still. I assembled myself, thought by thought, the way you assemble something broken, carefully, checking each piece before you trust it. Then the door opened. 2 sets of footsteps. Diana's heels, a rhythm I had been hearing since I was 18. My father's weight, heavier now, slower. The door closed. Diana walked to my bedside. She looked at the monitors. And then, so quietly, so gently, so completely without guilt. She said one word. Finally. I did not breathe differently. I did not move. Inside, something in my chest cracked open in a way I don't have language for. Not surprise. Worse than surprise. Recognition. Then she turned toward my father. And she said 7 words. One more signature, and it's all ours. I have counted those words 1,000 times since that morning. 7 words that told me everything about the 3 weeks I had been unconscious. All ours. Not hers. Not the family's. Ours. 2 people. A closed circle. A transaction with 1 step remaining. My father said nothing. He did not say, Diana, stop. He did not say, she can hear us. He did not say anything at all. And that silence was the loudest thing I had ever heard my father say. They left at 11:40. I know the time because I heard the clock on the wall. I lay still for 20 more minutes after the door closed. Not because I was afraid. Because I was thinking. Blake was coming at 9 a.m. with full transfer documentation. I had 22 hours. I had no phone. No voice. 3 weeks of tubes had left my throat raw and useless. What I had was a nurse named Maya, who had taken my pulse that morning and paused. Just a fraction of a second too long. That pause had been a question. I needed it to become an answer. When Maya returned for evening vitals, I waited until her fingers were at my wrist. And I pressed back. Once. The smallest possible signal. She went still. Not startled. Still, the way a person goes still when they've been waiting for something and it finally arrives. She did not look at the door. She did not change her expression. She simply said, in her professional voice, "I'm going to check your temperature." And while she waited for the reading, she leaned close and whispered, "Blink once if you can hear me." I blinked once. She straightened. Made her notes. Then quietly, "I've documented signs of your awareness for 2 days. I kept it out of the main chart. Because I didn't know who to trust." She brought a notepad. Placed a pen in my hand. My hand was weak, but it was mine. I wrote 2 things. Ruth Holt. Her phone number. Memorized at 14. Never once forgotten. Then beneath it, 1 word. Tonight. Maya read what I had written. She looked at me for a long moment. "I'll call from my personal phone. Not the hospital system." She finished her notes and left. I closed my eyes. And for the first time since the accident, I felt something other than helpless. Here's what I understood, lying in that bed on that Thursday evening. With 22 hours left before Blake arrived. Diana had been working toward this for 13 years. Every warm question. Every careful dinner. Every interested smile. A sequence. Patient. Deliberate. I had mistaken her interest for affection. My mother had warned me, in the only way she could, through Ruth, through documents, through a letter I didn't fully understand until I was lying in a hospital bed. That interest and affection are not the same thing. But Diana I could understand. Diana had always wanted something. My father was different. My father had held me at my mother's funeral. My father had dropped me at college and cried in the parking lot. My father had stood in a hospital room, 3 feet from his unconscious daughter, and asked how much longer they needed to wait. That is not a man who was tricked. That is a man who decided. And I lay there in the dark. And I grieved him. Not the man he had become. The man I had believed he was. I grieved him quietly, completely. And then I let go. Because Ruth was coming. Because Blake was arriving at 9 a.m. And because Lily Carter, the girl they had spent 3 weeks stepping over, was already awake. Already thinking. Already 3 moves ahead. Blake walked through that door at exactly 9:03 a.m. What happened in the next 4 minutes? Changed everything.